YouTubers. This is Todd, aka Wally's Weathering, at the workbench again. And I wanted to talk about a kit that I just picked up recently. I got this kit from railroadkits.com, and it's Dan and Feeds. They call it an easy kit. It's an easy to build kit, and kind of an interesting little kit because this sheet here, you would think this was the instructions, but it isn't. It doesn't have anything on the back side. It's their signs and that. And if you look at down at the bottom there, you can read that. It says instructions. You can download those at the website. That's no big deal. A lot of kits are that way. You download instructions these days. But so I did that. I downloaded these instructions, and they're not bad. They don't really quite go into as much detail as I thought they would. Particularly, they don't talk about a couple of things that I think is pretty important here. They do a pretty good job of outlining the parts that are in the kit so that you can kind of make an inventory, make sure they got everything, they sent everything to you. And so it talks about, goes through some steps, talks about bracing up your walls and stuff, and that's a good tip. On the back side, it goes through and tells you about the windows and how to do the roof and different things like that. So it's fairly complete. I'd say it's about 95% complete on the instructions. But one thing that sort of bothered me, and I was kind of searched through here several times, and you'll notice that on this picture right here, there's an opening above these double doors. Now there's also a pole that sticks out here. Now normally what that would be for is, this is like a barn, a loft of a barn, and you'd hoist things up and they'd pull them in through this doorway here. There's no mention whatsoever of this doorway in the instructions. Unless you were a new guy, if you were a new guy, you wouldn't know what to do with that. You wouldn't know where that's at. You'd think that was missing. And because I'm a little bit more experienced, there's a piece. Let me show you where that piece is and what I think they want you to do. But they don't tell you about this, which is really kind of bugging me. On the roof card that they have here, on the roof card here, there's a little piece that sticks out here, and it's got some scribings on there. And I don't know if I can get that in close enough for you guys to see it or not. You probably can't. Maybe if I tilt it that way. Do you see that? It's got some scribing on here. And I think that's what they want you to do, is to glue that piece behind the opening in the wall, and then trim it out with some of the smaller strip wood. But they never tell you that, which I think is kind of odd. And one thing they do have on here, another thing that's sort of irritating, is that right here in the instructions, let me read this to you and see what you make of it. It says, if you'd like to learn the basic techniques required to assemble wooden kits, please refer to this DVD, Better, Easy, Realistic Volume 4, J Clean Supplies, and there's a link to it. Well, I have the video, and I've had this video for a while, but it's a $30 video. And so, I don't know, they want you, for a $9 kit, you have to buy a $30 video to figure out the basics of how to build it. I don't know. I think they could have added that in here and saved you 30 bucks. I don't know. That's just my way of thinking. Maybe I'm crazy. So anyway, the video is really good. The company's really good. I think their products are really good. I just think they fell down on these instructions a little bit. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to build the kit, and I'm going to show you how I build it, because I'm not going to build it the way they have it here. I'm going to doctor it up and do my own thing to it. So I usually do that anyway on smaller kits. That's just the way I roll. So in the next segment, we'll start out and I'll show you how I'm going to do the video Okay, or build a building. All right, talk to you then. Bye. Okay, guys, what you're looking at here is a quick and dirty sketch of what I plan on doing with this Dan and Feed company. I'm going to put a bump out on the side of this right here and brace that up, and pretty much going to be built the way the kit shows here, but we're going to add this section that gets cut off of this wall is actually going to end up right there. So I'm going to show you the kit pieces here in a sec and show you how I plan to accomplish that. Okay, so what we're looking at is the flat pieces of the kit, and these are the front and back walls, and these are the side walls here. So I've kind of taken and drawn some lines on here, because what I plan on doing is right where this corner is where this bump out is going to start. So this is there's going to be a piece coming down here like this, and then a piece coming over here, and then on this side, if you follow this over here, there'll be a piece coming off this way and down the side over here. So these two pieces that you see right here, which look like scrap, are actually going to be cut out of this. This is scrap material here, and these will be used as that bump out on either side. And so the sidewall piece, I've got a line right here that I'm going to cut through, and then that piece, this piece, will be on the end pieces of the bump out here. So, and then I have to make a new roof card and everything like that. So I'll go ahead and cut these out, get the bracing on them and everything, and come back and show you what they look like. So stay tuned. All right, so what you're looking at here is the assembled walls, and I've got the bracing put on the back side, and that really helps hold everything together. And if you'll notice, if we can see that or not, let me get that up to the camera. I've gone ahead and taken my pounce wheel and put nail holes in this building, and I'll be doing that on the sides as well. And here's the pounce wheel I used, and so I still have some couple of pieces to do here. And so once we do that, we'll get the buildings assembled, the walls to the sides, and squared off and everything, and come back and show you what that looks like. So stay tuned. Okay, what you're looking at here, something real quick, is I use CD cases as a square to square up the walls when I'm gluing them. That's just something that I've learned over the years, that these things are pretty square. So I always use these instead of just trying to find some kind of an angle or something like that. And they're always handy. So, all right, that's it. Okay, we're back, and we've got this building, all the sides put together, glued together, and let it dry here. And as you can see, there's kind of got an interesting little shape going on here. So anyway, the next step is to go ahead and put some India ink and alcohol wash on the structure, and to let that dry. And then after that, we're going to colorize the building with some of these oil pastels here. Let's see if I can get this in the shot here. This is a set of pastels that I picked up at Walmart, and they're really kind of neat. I learned this technique from Miles Hale, and he shows a segment on his Model Railroad University about how to work with these things. And so I'll show you the kit here. This is about $5 for this set at Walmart, which is pretty cool. You get 25 different colors there. And so this is going to be this red right here. I think I'm going to use as the color. I think that looks like barn red. And so we'll get that into alcohol and the India ink finish, and then I'll kind of come back and show you how how this works and how these go on there. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, guys, so what you're looking at here is the building that's been colorized up a little bit, and I left a wall that hasn't been colored yet, and I want to show you guys how to do this. So basically, here's what we're going to do. We are going to start out by getting this in the right position so you can see it. Now this is our pastel, and we just start to rub that on the side of the building like a crayon. And this is clapboard siding, so go along with the clapboards here. You can see how that's rubbing off on there. Now we purposely don't want to cover this thing completely with the color, and the reason for that is trying to get it to look like an old barn or an old building with faded paint. So by doing this, it's kind of how we're doing this. Now you may or may not be able to see that there's a bunch of these little curlies coming up on the thing here that it's like they're not quite getting down in there. So what I take and do is I have a cloth here. I take this cloth and I rub this back and forth on there, and that kind of helps to smooth out some of those pieces that aren't quite rubbed in there. This might take a couple of different applications of the pastel here. To get it to where we can a little bit more coverage here. Like I say, we want some of the paint to look like it's rubbed off, and I think that's doing a pretty good job here. Some of these areas here you can kind of touch them up a little bit too. Area around the window here. You don't want to cover up all these, you just want to make sure that you get some of them done. And there you have it. It's kind of a peeled paint effect. I really like the way it comes out. Like I say, some sides you want to leave some of it where it's showing through. The other side you want to cover it a little bit more. But looks pretty good. And that's working with these little pan pastel crayons. And I can't take credit for this. I give the credit to Miles Hale. He's the one that kind of showed on his Model Railroading University site on how to do this. So turned out pretty well. I'll be back in a minute to show you what I plan on doing with the windows. Okay, here's my approach on how I'm going to do these windows. I'm started out, you can see I've got these done with a little bit of white dry brushing on there. And I originally tried to use the pan pastels on the door here, and I really like the way it turned out, so I just figured we're going to dry brush that. And so I've got some paint in my brush here, and what I do is just come along. See if I can do this where you can see it. Kind of come along here and brush that down. Make sure you're not covering the whole thing. I'll flip these over and do the inside too. just for fun. This is just regular old dry brushing. Kind of get some stuff in the mullion, so you gotta be careful with that. This also has a door frame, and we want to go ahead and hit that as well. I hope you can see that. It's right over the gray plastic. Make sure you don't cover it completely. You don't want that. Okay, that's pretty much it. So just using craft paint here. This is Anita's craft paint that I'm using. And I just used a piece of paper here to blot the thing out there. So that's pretty much it. And I'll come back and show you the final results. Okay, what you're looking at here is I've managed to get the doors and the windows installed on this critter. And as you can see, there's that door that I was talking about up above the double doors there. And that's just that piece of sort of a cardboard that has some scribing in it. And so that's what we did with that. I ended up having to replace some of the siding on here because I found out that it's not very level. And so we fixed that, but we'll come along and darken that up with some ink and alcohol wash, and it'll just kind of be looking like a dilapidated piece of the siding that's on there. So anyway, I'll talk to you about these windows a little bit. And the window castings obviously were plastic, and I weathered them up a bit. But I want to show you how I put the windows and the glass inside of them. It's really not glass. It's some plastic, sort of a plastic sheet from a product package. And what I did was, I took a product package that's similar to this. Let me get this out of the way. And when I was done with the product, I cut out, before throwing the package away, I cut out this plastic that's on here. It's kind of a molded plastic, and on this one you can use the sides and the top and everything. It's got a lot of places you can cut out and use. And what I did with this is I took some magic tape like that, and I laid out some strips of magic tape across the plastic, and then on the back side I took and scribed out the inside of the windows, the window castings, so that you could kind of, see if I can get that in a position where you can see it. And then I super glued the cutout piece inside there. Now the reason I did this was I wanted to take and on a couple of windows here, and you can't really see it on here, but you can if you look up close with it. And I took and cracked some of the glass by using the back of my X-Acto knife, and I kind of scribed around on there and made some cracks in this, and it turned out really good. Now you can't see through it. That's exactly what I wanted, because if you take a look over here on this side, there's actually a piece of support that you can see right here, and that runs right down through here. And so if I hadn't put something in there, you'd be able to see that, and so you can't see it from there. So it looks pretty good. Also, something I did was I clear coated this with dull coat so that this doesn't keep rubbing this red stuff on my hands. So that's another thing that I did. So what we're doing next is we're going to go and put trim pieces on here, like you're seeing here. I got some trim pieces laid out here, and we're going to start trimming out the corners and what have you on this thing, and it's actually white. It kind of looks gray on here, but it's actually a weathered white. So we'll get that done, and we'll be back just in a bit. All right, guys, what you're looking at here is a little sketch that I made up, and this is to illustrate the fact that I found out that I actually built my walls wrong on this building. The way it was supposed to go is that the wall pieces here were supposed to be joined by a 1/16 inch square piece of trim. I didn't do that. I put the bracing in like this, but I did mine like this, and that's the wrong way to do it. It's not a big issue. I still managed to get the walls together, and they look pretty good. But that's how they were supposed to be assembled, and it didn't get out that way. So let's take a look at the whole structure, which I've got done now. So let's take a peek at this, and show you our building here. This is what it's looking like. About the camera shaking. So we did get the roof on there, and tar paper on the roof. We got the little stick out here, and I did put trim pieces on there, but these are individual trim pieces instead of the ones supplied in the kit. So so there you have it. Now I've got a little bit of weathering to do on this, and here's that door that I talked about in the beginning, and you see how the trim goes around the door there in this piece we talked about earlier. Okay, so pretty much finished with it here. Like I said, I've got a little more weathering to do, and I'm going to put it on a diorama base, and so I might add some pictures of that at the end of the video here. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this build. It's a pretty good kit. I wish they had a little bit better instructions. A little diagram of that wall might have helped me put that together a little bit better, but oh well, it is what it is. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you learned a lot from this, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Hey guys, as promised, here's some pictures of the building on the base. I used a piece of extruded foam, the beadboard, and painted her up and put some scenery material on there. And you see I got a couple of patches on the roof there, and weathered up the roof to look like it's been well used, and some of the boards and stuff are hanging off there. So I think that turned out pretty good, and I'd like to thank all my new subscribers for subscribing to my channel, and we'll talk to you guys again real soon. Bye for now.